Doing what needs to be done for the sake of liberty is a solemn task. We might ask, what freedoms should we value? If you live in Arizona and you're a woman who gets knocked up, you technically no longer have access to Planned Parenthood, say the statists. If you're a man in Illinois, you may run into some issues obtaining an AR-15, having it shipped to you, because technically the state requires you to obtain a FOID card, a pointless obstacle that courts have repeatedly ruled unconstitutional. But that doesn't matter if you keep complying, you see? That's another thing. The Constitution doesn't grant you any more rights than the back of a cereal box. It's just an old piece of paper scribbled on by a bunch of slave-owning cross-dressers who are dead now. People call them the Founding Fathers. I call them the Discovered Daddies because they're gay, and the people who revere them are even gayer. OMG, the Discovered Daddies told me I could carry a pistol grip with my AR-15. And Trump be like, no, we told you could do that. Take the guns first, due process second. And Biden be like, no, we're saying you can't do that. You don't need 30 rounds. And it's the same bullshit argument in favor of an authoritarian structure that allows you, permits you freedoms with licenses and such that you should be getting for yourself. The ultimate downgrade of humanity, from skilled hunter-gatherers to soulless corporate drifters who lie to get by. If you're gonna lie big. Be a grifter, be a cheater, be an entrepreneur, be somebody special, a hustler, be unique, but quit propagating socialism where it don't belong. Quit promoting the use of force. You should not be forced or harassed into buying health insurance or paying taxes or funding schools. That should be completely voluntary, and we simply do not need government up our ass to create better systems. America's actually at a huge advantage because we see how things are done in other countries with new technologies. We could be the innovators, but smooth brains be binary as fuck. And if you live anywhere in America and you lack the proper connections, you're likely to find yourself working for a low-wage, high-profit corporation. Are you entitled to more? Well, my answer has always been yes. You are entitled to acquire what you believe to be freedom over a certain period of time. It's called the pursuit of happiness. And there I go with that government propaganda. It's ingrained in all of us. But the first step to doing this, to unwashing ourselves, is to demystify the construct of law, which is almost never consistent. To recognize that the law is a roadblock for which there can be very real consequences if you attempt to disobey it. If you haven't been paying your loans, for instance, the sheriff can come take your shit, all because you pulled an imaginary amount of money from your oppressor, the bank, to maintain your meager standard of living. The reaction to that is violence enacted by armed thugs. What should you do? How doth a free man respond? If you were given an ambulance ride because a good Samaritan called on one, but you didn't pay your bill for that, you may land in the same situation over time. Curious. How doth a freeman respond to whatever cause the state might have to stepping on his property, terrorizing his family, threatening to shoot his dog, etc., or just doing all of that while he's not home off working for the man? The only rational answer is violence. I know people don't like to hear that. They get queasy just thinking about asserting individual sovereignty over that of this illegitimate society. Should you even mention the fact that man-imposed law does not apply to somebody who chooses freedom at the dinner table, confusion and resentment will arise, unless you happen to be surrounded by the maybe 1 in 10 who are open to such blasphemy. But then we would have chaos! Exclaims the bootlicker, to which the sane reply would be, look around you. Homeless encampments, drug abuse, terrorism, people getting drunk every night instead of looking within, doing the hard thing instead of struggling to get by, leading by righteous example rather than hollow platitudes. They don't do that. This is not a code that a majority or even a sizable portion of the population adhere to. Most people will lie if you put them under even the tiniest bit of pressure to do better, dancing around what they really want to say. I don't like the division in this country. In what way? Well, people discriminate. My neighbors are... And you go, okay, how drunk Do we have to get with this person to understand what they're actually trying to say? Then again, I'd rather not. Keep my hands clean. So, when these same babbling wannabe pundits and obedient communists say that without law and order, whichever brand they prefer, left boot, right boot, red boot, blue boot, whatever, I say, look around you. Look at the world that maybe you didn't create, but you helped maintain in a loveless attempt to satisfy people who have no business controlling you. You call this order? The law itself is pure chaos. All it does is monopolize the threat of violence so that the individual is rendered immobile in the face of injustice. When that knee comes down on that neck, he holds up a camera instead of a gun. Look! Law and order! Or maybe he'll say, this is fucked up, guys. Either way, the victim is killed. You didn't do nothing. There was something you could have done to prevent it, but you didn't. I didn't. Nobody did, because we feared the consequence of not granting a pig the rights that we don't have, which is the right to kill. And yes, he may have been punished that one time, but 99 times out of 100, that exact same situation plays out with legal and moral impunity on the part of the pig. So nothing is done about it. The boot tramples on, claiming rights the rest of us cannot claim, or else we're viewed as anarchists. We're crazy, man. We're out there. We're agents of chaos. Allow me to flip the script. Who's done the vast majority of killing in the world? Which people are responsible for funding human trafficking cartels and are most likely to take advantage of their services? Which hypocrites claim moral authority in the eyes of their fictional deity? Which people will bust down your door for smoking a plant created by nature? Which leeches soak off money that is extorted, take a third of your paycheck without asking, and claim they're doing you a favor? Actually, more than that if you count sales tax. And if you somehow manage to break free from this nonsense and say, I'm not going to do that, it's my money, hired goons will come break down your door or pull you over and throw you in a cage as a brainwashed public decides how long you should remain in the cage. And even after you leave the cage, you may not vote for your masters or buy guns to protect yourself from them, or in many cases, not be allowed to work to protect yourself financially. Your reputation permanently scarred for no reason other than wanting to exist free without being infringed upon. So I ask, who's the anarchist? Who's the terrorist? Who's openly destroying people's lives and causing death and mayhem? Who's bombing starving people, performing medical experiments on them? Who's kidnapping babies and selling them to elite pedophiles? Who's doing every evil you can possibly imagine in the name of good, in the name of the public, in the name of law and order? The answer is the very people you unironically defend at every state-sanctioned holiday gathering. And little old me just stays sipping and spitting nothing but facts, motherfucker. Take it or leave it. But I'ma set the record straight every goddamn day in every video I do. I'm Jake Jones, biatch. Stay winning or stay tripping.